Hey, O'Connell, it looks to me like I've got all the horses. Hey, Benny, looks to me like you're on the wrong side of the river. Hi, everyone.
Hey.
Welcome
Hello.
to the Broccoli Horror Picture Show. My name is Emma.
I'm Nick.
I'm Kristen.
And this week we are chatting 1999's The Mummy, directed by Stephen Sommers. And we decided to do our 3 most watched movies of all time. Last week, Kristen did her most watched movie of all time, The Nice Guys. And this week, I'm doing mine, which is The Mummy. How was your week, guys?
Not to go back to back on this, but once again, stressful, tired.
Oh no.
No, honestly, I had a calm weekend.
Okay.
Especially for St. Patty's weekend. We just hung out, stayed in. I'm wearing my green now,
Good job.
making up for it.
Nice.
We saw Sadie's grandma. We went and had a picnic. We went to the farmer's market.
That sounds heavenly.
Nice.
It was as low stress as could be.
That's perfect.
Awesome. I've had busy weekends, but not so much busy weeks. Friday night I played some D&D with work friends, and on Saturday I went out on the town with Emma and a few other gals.
Yes.
Which was very fun.
It was. Kristen and I fully nerded out because we found an underground horror shop.
And it was truly underground. We had to go into somebody's basement for it.
Yes,
which
it wasn't
sounds a little weird.
Yeah, it wasn't underground like a secret. It was just physically underground, and we had to go down steps to get there.
I think a highlight of that for me was turning around, looking at a glass case, and the guy who owned it going, "And here's Jerry O'Connell's penis."
Yes.
And we all just were like, yeah, okay.
And that just had caught my eye as it came out of his mouth.
We're like, yeah, I was just about to ask about that, actually.
I thought it might be Jerry O'Connell's penis.
I know that penis anywhere. But it was cool. He has all these curated real horror movie props and new horror movies, old horror movies. He has quite a collection down there, and it only cost $5 to go in.
Or if you bought something, it was free. But we did not buy anything.
We did not.
Except the ticket in.
Yes, we paid for our fee, but he gave us a whole kind of tour. It was a great day. Great little girls' day we had.
Were people in there, or were you the only people in there?
When we were leaving, a ton of people were coming in, but when we got there, we were the only people in the gallery part, and so he gave us all the fun facts.
He kept going in and out because our other friends were in the actual store part of it, and I think he was just checking in back and forth. But he would come in and be like, here's the makeup bust for Nicolas Cage in long legs, and then he would walk away, and then he would come back and then he would go, here's the bunny suit from Donnie Darko, and then he would walk away. And then he would come back and be like, here's the Annabelle doll they used in Annabelle. And we'd be like, oh, okay.
He just had information to drop, but no time for conversation.
Yeah, maybe that's my new preferred method of tour guide. They're half distracted, but just filled with knowledge to drop at any moment.
Yeah. Don't make small talk with me. I just want to see the sights,
Yeah. Yes. Give us the fun facts.
Exactly. And I saw a show on Sunday night. So that was
nice.
Yeah, it was a Ren Fair performer who was in Helium Comedy Club in Philly, which was a crazy setup, by the way.
That's a decision.
If anybody out there likes Jacques the Whipper, he's great.
Can confirm.
Can confirm he can in fact use a whip in a very small comedy club, and that was wild.
That's awesome.
Emma, how about you?
Pretty much all I did this weekend was our little girls trip. Friday night, just relaxed, and then Sunday, same, did nothing. My big event was Saturday during the day. And then I was just supposed to pack I'm going to Florida on Thursday this week, and I was supposed to pack, and I didn't. So and I
But
still
you've got so
haven't.
many days. You've got 2 whole days. Well, a day and a half.
Day and a half, and I have
Day.
an appointment tomorrow night, so I'm gonna be packing after this mummy recap.
That's fair.
Yeah. Speaking of, do you guys want to get into it?
I'm ready.
Let's do it.
Do you guys have first impressions of this movie?
I realized I'd only seen this movie once, and I remembered far less of it than I thought I did. The vibe is going into it. As soon as I turned it on, that's why I'm using this as a first impression. Because as soon as I turned it on, I was like, yeah, I don't remember this. The exposition at the beginning, I was like, I don't remember this at all. This movie has such a clear like vibe and aura around it that I feel like I was more familiar with that than the actual plot of this movie from what I'd remembered.
That's fair.
It just has such like a, I don't know, it is like the 90s epic, big IP, like everything dominated, and it just feels like Brendan Fraser's entire being's tied into this movie. So that was my whole impression of it, was just Brendan Fraser.
It's a good impression to have.
Yeah, wasn't bad.
I don't think I watched this movie until college, to be quite honest. I was deathly afraid of skeletons until probably high school age. And so that kind of turned me off from ever watching it before I was over my fear. And once I did get over that fear, I really loved it. I love the vibe. I love a historical action adventure romance, like, and you put ancient Egypt in that, you've hit all my markers. I'm in. So
No complaints.
Was excited going in and got exactly what I wanted going out.
Love it. I don't have any first impression of this movie because I don't remember seeing it for the first time. It's been in my life as long as I've had consciousness, which I was really thinking about that it came out in 1999 and I was 2.
Mm-hmm.
So how young did my brothers let me see this movie? The world will never know. But this is definitely my most watched movie of all time. I was so obsessed with it. We had it on VHS. I couldn't count how many times I watched it, but going into this watch, I don't think I've seen this movie for at least 6 years.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was kind of a fun rewatch because I have no memory, and it felt pretty fun to watch it again.
And let's just point out for our listening audience, Emma is wearing a mummy shirt right now.
Yes, I am. The whole poster.
I saw Brendan Fraser peeking up above the bottom of the screen.
I only bought this last year, and I think it's because when we were all coworkers, we probably talked about it in the green room, and I was reinvigorated for my love of this movie and decided it had to be commemorated with a t-shirt.
Was this the one you bought on Etsy?
Yes, it was.
I remember we were talking about it.
So that's
it lives on.
It does. All right, should I start my little recap of this?
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yay. Okay, warning for a big exposition dump right now because the beginning is an exposition dump and it requires one to understand.
Exposition is what it is.
Say that 5 times fast.
No.
So we open in Egypt, 1920 BC. High priest Imhotep is in the middle of an affair with Anaxenamun. Okay, and not to already derail from the recap. This movie has so many words that scratch an itch in my brain to say out loud. And the whole time I'm watching, I have to watch alone because I'm just repeating the words back to the screen the whole movie. And Imhotep and Anaxenamun are one of them.
Hamanoptera?
Two of them.
This is
Hamanoptera.
This is the second movie in a row we just started out with a lot of female body. Right, first scene.
That's true.
First scene, Lots of body paint in this scene. I'm sorry. I'm trying to cut that. I'm trying so hard not to say and I'm catching it and I'm sorry.
You're
okay.
fine.
I can't. It's a dick. Imhotep and Anaxunamun are having an affair. She is the mistress of the great pharaoh Seti, and all men are forbidden to touch her. So she's covered in body paint. The pharaoh discovers that they are lovers because Imhotep rubbed her arm. Dumb. What did he think was going to happen? And the pharaoh saw her body paint was smudged. Chaos ensues. They kill the pharaoh. Imhotep's team, I guess, his followers, pull him away and save him. And Anaxunamun is killed. Or no, she kills herself under the guise that Imhotep says he's going to resurrect her one day so they can be together again. After she kills herself, Imhotep and his team of bros steal her corpse so he can try to do the resurrection ceremony, but they're interrupted. And Imhotep gets the worst type of death of all, which is called the Hamdai. They cut his tongue out and he's buried alive with a swarm of flesh-eating scarabs, little bugs. And the ritual curses him to be a walking plague if he is ever resurrected. And he is buried under the statue of Anubis. And that is our opening to the film.
I love how right off the bat, this movie lets you know that realism, even beyond ancient magic, realism, even in the way we're shooting this movie, is out the window. The moon's not even going to look like the moon. It's going to be a glowing orb in the sky. And they don't care about the limitations of the current tech of the time. They're like, it's going to look cool. I don't care if it looks real. It's just going to look cool.
Yes.
I was very happy about that right away because they were like, fuck it.
It looks like an old Hollywood set the whole time.
Uh-huh. Yeah,
yeah.
It looks older than it is because of that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. One of the fun facts that I saw and or listened to after I watched the movie, the opening shot with all of the structures and the town, the city, it's all miniatures that they actually built and took so much time to build, but the way they lit it makes it look so artificial. You think the whole thing's CG, but a lot of those structures are real and they're just lit to look berserk.
God, the lighting team punching the air right now. How they ruined their miniatures.
Taking the time to do miniatures just for lighting to fuck it up is hilarious.
Crazy.
It is.
Because you could have just, you could have just reshot. It's just a miniature. You could have just reshot it as many times as you wanted.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't going anywhere.
No.
I was looking at this scene and I all I could think about was the look of it. And is Imhotep a piece of shit or is he a hopeless romantic?
Is he homeless?
Is he a piece of shit or is he homeless? Is he unhoused? No, is he a hopeless romantic or is he a piece of shit?
I think a hopeless romantic.
I think both. Because you can be a hopeless romantic, but I don't know. He was very self-serving in that he was like, "Oh, I'll resurrect you because I'm gonna become a god."
Mm-hmm.
That's true.
I think she was a byproduct of whatever he became. So that's my 2 cents. But he was also a hopeless romantic. I won't get that wrong.
Yeah, you said both of them.
Both of them.
So we jump forward in time to 1923. Soldiers from the French Foreign Legion, I did not pick up on that. I looked that up. Led by American Rick O'Connell, played by Brendan Fraser, are fighting some warriors that protect Imhotep's grave. He is with Benny, an absolute clown and little bitch, consistently throughout this whole movie. Benny abandons Rick, and Rick gets cornered by these warriors. He's about to die, and then suddenly they all run away because they sent some mysterious force, and Rick's left to die in the desert. And from above Rick, there's like more soldiers, and they're like, why aren't you killing? Why shouldn't we kill him? And their one leader is like, oh, he'll die out here in the desert.
The desert will kill him.
The desert will kill him. Any thoughts here?
Brendan Fraser's hair is just always herring. It's it's incredible. 10 times out of 10, his hair is just herring. That's all I have about this part.
The holster that he wears throughout the movie, golly, it does something to me. I don't know. I don't know.
Couldn't agree more. All the costumes in this film.
They're gonna do it for me every time.
His boots are insane this whole movie.
And you know what? I was paying so much attention to his shoulders and the holster, I didn't even pay attention to the boots. So
yeah, I can't say I noticed the boots. I'm looking at that face. I'm looking at that face, baby.
We're all focused on different parts of Brendan Fraser throughout this movie.
Nick's focused on the tippity top and the tippity bottom.
Wait, the tippity bottom.
The tippity bottom. That's my next band name.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are Tippity Bottom. Those are our thoughts on this scene. So
yes. It's your first glimpse into Brendan Fraser. How can you not have a visceral reaction to seeing him in this movie?
Yeah.
It's the height of his powers.
A fun fact I learned about this movie: Tom Cruise, Brad Pitt, Ben Affleck, and Matt Damon were all offered the role of Rick O'Connell, and they all said no. And they were not interested. And the producers and the director saw George of the Jungle, not even kidding, and were like, that guy.
That's our
that
guy.
guy can do
That's
it.
Rick O'Connell.
That is Rick O'Connell. And also, he was much cheaper than all those other actors to get in this movie.
Yeah, those boots.
Yeah, those
That's
are
what
the
I'm talking
boots.
about.
So God bless that Tom Cruise said no, and Brad Pitt, and Matt Damon, and Ben Affleck.
He said no the first time.
And he
That's
said
what I was
yes
gonna say.
to the worst version of this movie.
It's true.
So 3 years later, 1926 now, we meet librarian, an aspiring Egyptologist, Evelyn. No idea what her last name is. She is at her job in the library, and she makes an absolute mess and knocks down all of the bookshelves, and her boss absolutely hates her guts. Her brother, Jonathan, scares her. He's also an absolute clown like Benny, but he's actually more lovable. He surprises her with a map that he claims to have found and a key, and the map seems to point the way to the lost city of Hamunaptra, which is where all the events with Imhotep took place all those years ago. Her boss dismisses Hamunaptra as a myth, and he burns part of the map, I guess, accidentally. But that dude did that on purpose, 100%. He was such a hater of Evie and her brother. And that's that scene.
Yeah. I have 2 fun facts about the scene that I learned.
Share 'em.
If I can share. The first one is when Evelyn is on the ladder and she's like balancing back and forth after she loses her balance for the first time. The far away shot where it's her on the ladder is a stuntman dressed in drag for one shot. And then it goes back to her in the close up on the ladder. And if you pause it, you can see that's clearly not her.
Oh my
And
God,
I had to go back and I rewatched it. I was like, oh my God, it is. And then my other one is that they had to do the bookshelf falling like domino effect, had to do it all in one take. Over 18,000 books were toppled for it. And in doing it in one take, they had to use a 360-degree camera rig because of how the shot was. And they had to get it right, which is crazy, I think.
That is wild. The
Yeah.
stakes,
Yeah,
the pressure on set, it must have been silent.
I don't know. Except for when her boss comes back and is like, "You idiot, I can't believe you did this."
You stupid woman.
I'll also say if the Mummy were to be made today, her boss would be Tony Hale, 100%.
Oh my god.
What?
I don't know why. I just went, "Mother, I'm home from war." That was all I kept thinking when I saw this guy.
He comes in with the hook.
Yeah, I'm a monster.
He comes up and whispers in her ear like she's Veep. No, I was dying at to see where she came in. He's a dick, but he's pretty vindicated at the end of this movie, towards the end of this movie.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, but it's a very funny scene where he's like, I don't know why I hired you, and she's like, I'm qualified. He's like, you're a nepo hire.
Yes.
And then he goes on to burn a 3,000-year-old piece of paper and says, "Oops." But she's the imbecile.
No, he was cooking. He did it on purpose.
I know, but still.
I'm an apologist.
You love him.
I'm not saying it was an accident. I'm saying he called her out on all this shit and then pretended to do that accidentally.
Yeah, he was gaslighting. He was good at what he did.
There are so many times in this movie that the characters are told so outright to not do things that they do.
Yeah.
And the signs are there from number one, from this guy at the start. You're right. He was just doing his job. And he was doing a great job.
He was protecting the world.
But we don't know that yet.
He's an Avenger. Okay, moving on. They go outside and Jonathan reveals, or it's shown that he actually stole it from an American who is currently in prison, who might be able to tell them more about Hamunaptra. And it's Rick. Rick tells them that he knows the location of Hamunaptra because he has been there. He tells Evie that he'll show her where it is if she saves his life because he is in prison and sentenced to death. She does this by offering his warden 25% of what they find in Hamunaptra if they get there and get treasure. Rick comes out looking like George of the Jungle in this scene.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. They just took the hair from George of the Jungle and just put it on him again.
Yes.
Just for this scene.
No consent here. He kisses Evie.
Yeah.
Illegal.
Yeah. A punch and a kiss.
A classic Hollywood trope. A punch.
Imagine if that had been reversed.
Yeah, shot and chaser.
I love the cadence of her and the warden's debate. There's such a rhythm. There's such a timing to that when he is hanging. Rick gets hung. Sorry, she can't stop that. But his neck doesn't
Who's
break.
to say you already
Hanged.
Cut that.
Just to be clear, what happened is he is hanged.
We had 2 good points there, Emma. We can't cut that.
I was just looking at the boots, I promise.
I wish that was a joke I had done on purpose, but today I learned I don't know the past tense of hang. And
listen,
look at my face; it's red.
I don't know. I still don't know the difference between affect and effect. So
Sometimes you don't know things are wrong till you say them out loud, and this was quite an unfortunate one for me.
Well,
so moving on. I'm not dumb, I swear. After he's hanged, it doesn't sound right. I don't agree. I think that's wrong.
It's only for when you're hanging a person that you say they were hanged.
So hung is right in some context?
Yeah, like you hung up a picture.
Okay, good. This is a good grammar lesson I'm learning right now.
This is where Pat would be able to help us because he was an English major.
Where is Pat when we need him?
Pat is doing tech rehearsals for Seussical right now.
Has Pat seen The Mummy? Does he like it?
I tried to get him to watch it on a plane ride once, and we got about halfway through, and he fell asleep. We were also on a plane very early in the morning, so I don't blame him.
The perfect time to watch this movie.
Yeah. True.
Has Sadie seen it? Does she love it?
Sadie has not seen it. That's gonna be a go-to if you ask me about a lot of these movies.
So, where were we? Oh, Rick is hanged. His neck doesn't break miraculously, and they debate, and yes, she saves his life. Then they're getting on a
Another
ship.
guy creeps on her.
Yes. She's the only woman in basically this whole movie, besides the one scene Anoxina Moon's in.
Yeah. There's
This
a
movie-
lot of unconsensual kissing in this movie.
There really is. This movie does not pass the Bechdel test. Doesn't even have an opportunity to, actually. She doesn't even get to speak to another woman the whole movie.
It doesn't even pass the bet.
Wait, when she's with like a bunch of the people in Egypt, it's a bunch of ladies around her.
Oh, you're right. But they
That
don't
might be
talk.
the only time.
Yeah.
Yeah, what the fuck are they talking about?
We
The
don't
weather?
see their words exchanged. So they get on a ship to go to Hamunaptra. Jonathan meets some American guys. I am going to there are predominantly two groups that go to Hamunaptra. I am going to call the one group the Americans. This is who Jonathan meets here, and it's a group of American guys. You guessed it. And I'm going to call our group of Evie, Jonathan, Rick, and the warden, and whoever joins them later. Our team, home team, whatever, team. There are a lot of characters, but these are the two groups.
Yes.
So Jonathan meets the American guys. The guys start shooting the shit, and the Americans bet our team that they can get to Hamunaptra faster. And like men, they say yes to that. I always liked the cowboyish one, the Jamie Lannister looking one of the group. He was always my favorite as a child.
Yes. What was his name? Hold.
Burns is the guy with the glasses.
Henderson.
That sounds right to me.
I liked Burns out of the three.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
I also... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, their leader, he is British, but I'm lumping him in with the Americans just because he's their, like, tour guide.
The Egyptologist?
Correct. Yep.
He's who I was just going to say something about. Jonathan Hyde, his actor. I have such, like, a niche obsession with him. I love him and everything he is in. He was in Titanic, Anaconda, Jumanji.
Jumanji is what I picture him in.
Because he's the dad and the hunter in Jumanji.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he's also in a DreamWorks series by Guillermo del Toro called Troll Hunters, which I have watched all of, and that's me really outing myself right now. But he's one of the like main characters in that as well. And I think he just kills it. Even though he's not in a major part in most of the things he's in. But
that's like a dream career. Like, he's worked his whole life. He's been in amazing projects, but he can still go to the grocery store.
yeah.
He was just in The Brutalist.
He was in The Brutalist? I didn't know that.
Wow.
I'm
Huge
just
shout
finding
out.
Huge shout out.
Huge
man.
shout out to that guy. So yeah, they make their bet. And then Rick and Evie flirt a little bit. And she says that she wants to find a certain book. And suddenly Benny, clown from the beginning, is back. And on this boat, his voice could not be higher pitched. And he is the guy taking the Americans to Hamunaptra.
What can we just start calling him Benny the Bitch? Because that's just the theme of him the entire movie.
It's great when there's a truly hateable character throughout a movie that everybody on screen hates, and you don't have to feel bad for him at all the whole time.
I feel a little conflicted about it because they paint it as he's a very bad person, but it's out of fear for the most part. And that like instills the tiniest bit of doubt in me going, man, I'm glad he's so hateable. But even throughout, I was like, well, he's just afraid. And then not me thinking about like, oh, he betrayed Rick and hired another team and is trying to beat them there, etc.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I think he's a fun antagonist. One of the antagonists, I'll say.
So he's a fun character. Yeah, I'm glad you have sympathy for him. Somebody needs to.
The
I don't.
tiniest shred. It's like barely there.
3%.
I would say 2, if that.
Ooh, okay.
I'm
The
a
tiniest
librarian.
shred.
I'm a librarian apologist. Kristen's a Benny apologist.
I guess we're gonna
And
find
that-
out who I'm an
that-
apologist
That
for.
leaves Emotep for you.
I kind of am an Emotep apologist. To be
We started
real.
with that. Yeah.
No, I will say I am an Ardith Bay apologist.
Oh, I'm
A
just a
1,000,000,000%. Oh my god, yeah. Okay.
just a lover. I noticed in this scene, remarkable Rick doesn't have a single bruise from the absolute beating he took from that rope in the earlier scene. Nope, he's just handsome. His handsomeness conquers all.
It's amazing. And also it's amazing because Brendan Fraser apparently passed out while filming it because he kept asking the crew to tighten it to make it look more realistic and fell to the ground, and they didn't know he was not joking until he did not get up.
That's my
So-
Oscar winner right there.
But, you know, next scene, no bruises.
That was a kink. That was a kink thing, though.
Ooh. Ooh.
Evie is getting ready for bed, and the boat is attacked for the mapping key that she has. There's a huge fight, a fire starts, and they shoot, bang, 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 guns, 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 Americans, so many guns, and then they all escape the boat. And it was kind of hot when Rick said, "Relax, I'm the map. It's all up here."
Every time Rick shoots in this movie, he shoots like 8 times. Like he could be shooting at nothing, and he's like, he just unloads his whole clip. It starts in the first battle scene, and every single time throughout the movie he shoots, he lets off like he's running. He's just like running through guns because he's just running out of ammo because he shoots so many times.
He also moves his entire elbow and arm forward when he shoots, so it's like this. He's just shimmying back and forth.
It's adding power to the gun.
Yeah.
I like to think that we're seeing Rick in a vulnerable state throughout the whole movie because he just instantly has a crush on Evie. So we're not seeing Rick in his like natural fight state. We're seeing him always a little bit trying to impress her. So which is why he's shooting so many extra times.
They're blanks.
They're blanks. And he's putting his arms all the way out just to show her. Look at him.
Yeah.
We're just he's just a guy. He's just a guy with a crush.
He's just a little guy.
Just a little guy. So after that, they are off on camels. They meet up with Benny and the Americans. Well, they go on a little, like they get their camels and they show them, traveling through the desert. And they meet up with Benny and the Americans at sunrise, and Hamunaptra is revealed. Chills. And the race begins, and the Americans are on horses, but Evie and her camel beat them all.
Don't know how that happens. Realistically, don't know how that happens, but okay.
Yeah, does that happen for real? Can a camel beat a horse in a foot race?
I don't think physically they're built to be that fast. I don't know. I could be wrong.
But do you remember the noise she was making to the camel? Did you consider that?
Someone do it.
Like, yeah. That's like me calling my cat over. My cat is
Caesar
also
Milan.
staring at me, watching me right now. Very ominous.
Guardian of the underworld.
I know.
What are you gonna do?
Run.
Run.
Well, I mean, I'm not in danger, so
No, you're protected from Emotep right now.
thank God. Or thank Ra? Sorry.
Once they are inside Hamunaptra, they set up camp and they start exploring. I have to say, misogyny proven wrong again, because Tony Hale was like, they're led by a woman. What does a woman know? And then Evie outsmarts all of them. And also have to point out in this scene, girls don't want flowers. They want a gift of tools to explore ancient Egypt.
That's what I'm talking about. Even
That's
if
what
those tools are stolen from your rivals.
Look, he did the best. Again, he's just a boy in love. He did the best he could.
He
with
did.
what he had around.
Which was not much after that boat went down. Or I guess just went on fire. I don't know if it went down.
Both.
Okay.
They once they're inside the cave or whatever, they're excavating kind of. They get into a standoff over the statue of Anubis with the Americans. Evie notices that there's an underneath, so she kind of lets go of the fight, and then our team goes down and the Americans are exploring Anubis from above. And
Are they above or below?
The Americans are at
the Americans are above. Sorry.
They're at Anubis, and the
Yeah.
home team is underneath.
Yes, gotcha, sorry.
And the Americans the Americans get some workers killed. They don't care at all about those workers with some acid, trying to
pressurized something and
salt acid.
Salt
I think
acid.
they said. Trying to get into the statue of Anubis underneath. And once they're through and all those people died, they find a box that they get. Wait, I'm jumping ahead. I'm sorry. They just get all those people killed, and then it cuts to our team. And Jonathan accidentally finds Imhotep's tomb, and which Jonathan low-key kind of found everything that started this whole movie. He found the map and the key, and then the statue of Anubis. So Jonathan's fault. They lose their friend that I already forgot was with them, the guard that was at the prison.
Oh, the warden?
Yeah, the warden.
Mhm.
He finds like what he thinks is blue gold on the wall, but it's scarabs. And the scarab crawls under his skin with some incredible CGI work. And it goes all the way up, goes into his brain, and he dies.
Well, let's not forget, it goes into his brain and he runs full force into a wall, falls backwards, and then dies.
That's true. That did not help. It's like the scene in Elf where he covers his eyes and runs into the lockers in the bathroom.
And listen, I have another fun fact about this scene if we want it.
Always.
The stunt double they had running at the wall at full force, they had him within a quarter inch of the wall. They had him on a wire and pulled him back so that he fell backwards at the right time.
Wow, you got to trust the people that have you on that wire.
You really got to trust them. That's what stunt doubling is, I guess. Just trusting the people involved. Which is
Blind
crazy.
trust.
Yes. So later that night, they're all relaxing and another attack. More fight. And then the character that we learn later is Ardith. He explicitly warns the characters to not awaken Imhotep. Just don't. Just leave and don't die. And he's ignored. Evie gets drunk. And what is a place like me doing in a girl like this?
That's great.
Is her big question. And that wraps that scene.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Is Ardith Bey, did he say he was descendant of Imhotep or a descendant of someone? What did they say in the beginning that his men are set to block away, like keep Imhotep underground? But I think they said they're the descendants of someone, but I don't remember.
I did not write this down. Nick, did you write it down?
No.
Okay, I'll look for it. Continue.
I'm just
Nick,
thinking
did you
about how
have
when they
thoughts on
open
this?
up. I was just thinking about how when they open up Imhotep's casket, they all call him Juicy.
Yeah.
In sync. It's the only word.
They're stuck on it. They pause. They try to find another word.
They can't. It does look juicy.
They weren't wrong. It's not the problem.
They weren't wrong. The problem is the word choice. Did you find it?
I'm in the Mummy wiki right now, so it might take me a minute.
All right, I'll continue.
Yeah,
Unless
this
Nick
is
has
the
more
scene.
thoughts.
This is the scene where I really first realized I probably should have realized it earlier, but I realized oh, they're the villains. If you look at this from an objective standpoint,
Yeah.
it's where I was like, oh shit, they're going into a foreign land and doing all the wrong shit and like gonna be the problem, the point, like gonna be the reason the world ends, basically.
Yeah.
Yep.
I
Thousands
did
of
find
people
it, by the way.
say it.
Ardith Bey is a member of the Medjai, descendants of the royal bodyguards of several pharaohs of Egypt. So
Okay.
not Imhotep.
Nope. Of the
Just
pharaoh that he killed, actually.
yes. Okay. I'm sorry, continue.
No, just thousands of people doing their jobs for their whole lives, and then these Americans and Brits come in and just destroy it
Mhm.
very quickly. So the next day, the Americans get their box open and they find these little statues. The chest explicitly says, if you take these statues, you're going to die. I don't know what else to tell you. If you take them, he's gonna Emotep is resurrected. He is going to kill every single one of you and take your flesh to make him whole again. Couldn't be more explicit about what the consequences were going to be. And they don't care. But even Benny in this scene, like, flees the scene because he knows that this is too far even for Benny, and he doesn't want to be a part of it. Oh, they also get now I'm just calling him Tony Hale because I don't know his
No,
name.
Tony Hale is her
Librarian.
boss, the librarian boss. Egyptologist
right.
is your other guy.
Egyptologist. Their Egyptologist finds the black book, the Book of the Dead. And that's all he cared about. That was his treasure. So that night, they're back at camp and the curses reiterated again, and no one is putting two and two together that everything is falling into place to bring Imhotep back to life. Evie steals the Book of the Dead from the Egyptologist, and she reads from it immediately, and Imhotep is resurrected. The bugs come immediately.
Just so unbelievably stupid.
So stupid. And it's stupid that and I can't believe that it was Evie that did it. So dumb. Like, her character is a little thoughtless, yes, but I feel like I was surprised watching this again that she was the one that makes the number one mistake of the whole movie. It is her fault.
Yeah, I'd be a lot more mad at her if she wasn't so hot.
Theme of the film.
No, you're so pretty. Don't bring back Imhotep.
Beep, no.
Yeah. So the bugs come so quickly. Home team. Oh, the bugs come. I said the bugs come so many times.
The bugs are what?
the bugs come.
Everyone's running from the bugs, and immediately the American with glasses, Burns, is just rocked by Imhotep.
This was so sad for me because I forgot he got his shit rocked.
It's so sad. I think it's Scooby-Doo put it into our core of how sad it is when somebody loses their glasses with Velma. And it really hurts your feelings when somebody's just trying to find their glasses in the scene and it's hopeless.
Also, wild of Imhotep to take the guy with the worst vision's eyes.
Yeah, the whole time is he just seeing kind of blurry? Is that why he thinks she's an ox and a moon? Because he can't see
that's
her?
literally why. He looks at her, and when the first time Imhotep looks at Evelyn, he squints because he can't tell that it's not an ox and a moon.
I never thought of that until we're talking about it right now.
Yeah, apparently it was completely intentional. So,
wow, that's so funny.
How bad were how effective were these glasses that this guy went from being a completely functioning member of society to absolutely useless in like 1 second? He had to have the best glasses in the world.
Some people are like that.
Those are very effective glasses.
I mean, yeah, for 1920s, they must have been.
He's Ben Franklin.
He had his bifocals on.
Our home team is running from the scarabs, and Evie gets separated by a trick wall, and immediately runs into the mummy. This has to be for movies with big bads like the mummy or any other vampire or whatever. This has to be a pretty early on meeting with the evil person. It happens
Yeah.
pretty quickly after he comes back to life. He calls her, as we just said, Squints calls her a Nox and a Moon, and Rick saves her. This is probably the best Rick moment of the movie, of the mummy being as scary as it possibly can be, yelling at him, and he just yells back in the mummy's face, doing the exact same thing.
Yeah. This scene solidifies that if I saw this any younger than I did, I would have lost my marbles and I would not have made it. I would have turned the movie off right there. Actually, I would have turned it off the second there was they saw Imhotep's sarcophagus.
His juicy body.
His juicy body. I would not have made it past there. So this, for the time and for the rest of the CG that's in this movie, I think his first mummy form is actually quite cool.
Yeah, I agree, because some of the
Yeah.
CG is very silly. Even in this scene, the CG of the missing eyes on Burns is a little funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, the mummy itself, I feel like they maybe did all of their hard work on CGI on that, and then the rest.
That's where the
just
budget
a little
went.
less. Yeah, the budget went to the mummy CG.
Yeah.
Rick really treats this interaction like he's face to face with a bear.
Yeah, he does. He totally does.
Like, he's like, maybe I can scare it off. He's like trying to get big and he's yelling at it.
He said, if you ever see me in the woods with a grizzly bear, help the bear.
George of the Jungle bit.
It's like, this guy doesn't have my shoulders. I can take him. I got him. It's fine. Which
Exactly.
he does think he killed him in the next scene.
He's like, done with that.
That was
He's
a
like, I
problem
got
for
him.
10 minutes.
I got him.
Later, bud.
And in that scene, he thinks he killed him when Ardith returns, and Ardith tells everybody they're stupid. He's like, I couldn't have been more clear about what you shouldn't have done, and you did everything I told you not to do.
He said, you absolute idiots just caused the end of the world. I hope you're happy.
I hope you're, after I specifically told you not to.
I gave you one direction and you could not follow it.
I asked nicely.
I didn't kill you, so now you're going to kill the world. That's great. Thanks.
Our friend Benny becomes the mummy's actual bitch in this scene and fully submits to him to live. I mean, Benny has really great survival instincts. You have to give him that.
Yeah, they work until they don't, you know?
They work until they don't. Rick and Evie have a very marital type fight here. They're fighting like they truly have been together for 15 years, and he wants to leave and Evie doesn't. Also, at this point, they are back in Cairo because Ardith was like, you got to leave right now. And they actually did listen to him then, but they're stuck in Cairo because a boat doesn't come till the next morning. And when they're in Cairo, kind of unwinding, feeling a little more safe, we meet Winston, an elderly pilot. And he's a little out of it.
Little.
They're shooting the shit. And Benny brings Imhotep to Cairo. Would love to have watched a little of that buddy comedy of them going from Hamunaptra to Cairo.
I feel like it would have been tense silence the whole time, actually.
Yeah, that's probably that. Or Benny, I imagine him talking the whole time. Just
To an
panic
Imhotep who
talking.
could not speak.
Yes, and can't tell him to stop. But Benny brings him to finish the job on Burns. This is the scene. I think it must have scarred me a little when I was a kid. I find this scene to be the scariest of the movie. I don't know why. Like when Imhotep's sitting there with the mask on and Burns can't see and Benny's translating for them. I don't know. That scene kind of makes me feel unnerved.
It feels like the most time where you can like kind of put yourself in somebody's shoes. Where you can like, it feels, I don't know, in a way more real than the rest of this. The rest of this movie does not feel real in like any universe like ours at all. But this scene feels like something that's like kind of more horror-y and like realistic that somebody could be kind of, blinded in some way and somebody's hiding their face, and it just feels more grounded in the universe than like a lot of things that are just like, it's a movie, just like let it be a movie.
Yeah, I agree.
Mhm.
It's quiet. Yeah, there's not any big action. Totally.
And
Mhm.
you already feel sympathy for Burns for having his eyes taken out and tongue,
And
eyes
tongue.
and tongue. Yeah, you already feel for him in that regard because he's lost two of his senses. So
Hmm.
by the time we get there, you're like, oh my god, they're not even going to let this man live. So
Nope. He needs all of them.
crazy.
When they don't know this is going on, they all take shots at the bar. Everybody in the room at the same time happens to take a shot, and it's blood now. I do love throughout the whole movie when Jonathan just starts reciting something clearly from a book that like his parents taught him. It happens, and Evie does it too, and they're the only two. It's like half narrating, but I kind of love that detail. Then the mummy tries to kiss Evie and is scared away by a cat.
This scene grossed me out, man. One, the unconsensual kiss, and also it being while she was sleeping. What the hell? And
I
then
think that's a little later. I think
That's
this is
later on.
oh,
before,
it
yeah.
is later. Shoot,
This is
sorry.
the bar scene when he's uh yeah, I don't know, he just like breaks in.
Okay, then never mind.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of it differently.
We'll get there. We'll get there.
I know. Come back to me
Is
later.
is him turning everything into blood the most impressive thing Emotep does in this movie?
Is it him actively doing that, or is he, because he's triggering 10, like isn't it 10 signs of the plague? And I
Yeah,
I
thought
thought
like
it
the
was
bugs were
triggering that.
one, so I didn't know if it was him or it was just like,
those things are just happening.
yeah, I don't think it's active action that. I think it's like a result of him being alive.
So
But it is the biggest, I would say, the biggest thing that happened.
it feels like it's on a way different scale than everything else that happens.
Mm-hmm.
Like everything else is like animals acting differently or like things like that, and then it's all of a sudden it's just like liquid turns to blood. It's like
Yeah. The
Feels
Feels
opposite.
very
crazy.
biblical.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
opposite of water to wine.
Mm-hmm.
Wine to blood.
I also have to say, Winston existing solely as a literal and metaphorical vehicle for them to get back to Hamunaptra is crazy work. But I mean, I loved every second he was on screen.
Yeah. They return to now actual Tony Hale, my bad, Evie's boss, and for answers. Then Evie's boss reveals, yeah, you're all dumb. I've been a part of a secret society with our friend Ardith here, protecting you for all of these years, dedicating my life to it, and you've destroyed it, as I suspected you would. And
Crazy.
and then Evie tells them that the mummy tried to kiss her, and they kind of explain what happened in the beginning with an ox and a moon. And they're saying like him thinking Evie is an ox and a moon is kind of helpful for them. It's a little bit of a layer of protection for her, at least.
Mm-hmm.
And then Rick forces Evie to stay in this room, which again is kind of a weird choice because she is the only person that's sort of not going to be killed by the mummy. And he goes out and he takes Jonathan and one of the Americans with him and leaves the Jamie Lannister American with him, and then leaves the other one to guard Evie.
Yeah. Listen, is this where he like carries her and throws her on the bed and then shuts the door?
Yep.
Impeccable. 10 out of 10, no notes.
Agree. He goes and he finds Benny, and him and Benny have words. Benny and some fighting. And
Words.
and Benny confirms that Emotep wants to resurrect an ox and a moon. And during this scene, the Egyptologist is killed by Emotep. There's a lot of deaths in succession here, so I'm going to try to keep it as orderly as possible going over these next scenes. So he kills their Egyptologist, and gets the Book of the Dead from him through killing him. Then he kills the American cowboy, sucks him dry.
Oh.
Excuse me.
Oh my
Hold
god!
on a minute. The bugs are coming. He's sucking them dry.
Tongue.
What that,
Oh my
what
god!
that crazy mouth do, Emotep?
Oh my god. You've seen how he can unhinge his jaw.
I was gonna
Jesus
say, you know-
Christ.
I'm innocent,
Oh.
I swear. Oh my god. My words are betraying me this episode.
Just sucks him dry. It's crazy.
Crazy work out of you, Emma.
Okay, I'm so sorry, but from an innocent perspective, is that not what he does?
It's not my fault he sucked him dry.
It's not my fault that that's physically what happens in the scene, okay?
It's not my fault he brought him to his knees. You know what I mean?
I'm recapping a very complex Hollywood film right now, and I can't be held accountable for the phrases that I'm saying as I'm recapping. So, anyway. Oh no, I lost my place.
So the sarcophagus used his esophagus. And then
Oh my god.
I hate my life. Okay, he breaks into Evie's room, and this time he's almost man. But then when he kisses her, his like face goes back to Mummy a little bit
Yeah.
while she's asleep, and she wakes up kissing the Mummy, and then they break in and they use the cat to scare him again.
Yeah, this was the scene I was talking about that was absolutely disgusting to me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
disgusting.
I don't care that it was CG. It was fucking gross.
It was. It really was. Evie realizes that she needs to get the gold book, the book of life, I guess.
It's
The opposite of the Book of the Dead?
Amun-Ra. Yeah.
Amun-Ra, to kill the Mummy. They hear townspeople possessed. One of the next plagues is boils and sores. Another beautiful, there's so many beautiful words I'm saying during this. Boils and sores. Emotep is leading them. Evie realizes where the gold book is buried. They take a car to escape. They were in a museum. They take a car to escape. Emotep.
It had the
But-
same vibe as The Wizard of Oz, where they go, oh, we, oh, oh,
We
we,
owe her. Oh, we owe. Or in Hook, when they Rufio.
oh.
Yeah. So they escape by car, and the possessed people follow them. They capture the last Americans, so the whole American group is dead. And then he is, I'll say a better term, consumed by Emotep. But he's also dry after. It is, if you watch a movie, you know that they
To the
are dry. To the bone.
How do you think he got so juicy?
How you think Emoteps get juicier and juicier? And I think this is when Emotep is fully regenerated. He got all of their juice, if you will, and he is fully regenerated. He offers Evelyn to come with him, and he'll spare the others, and she agrees. But then as soon as they leave, Emotep goes back on his words, and her boss sacrifices his life, holding the crowd back, while our team and Ardith, which is now just basically Rick, Jonathan, and Ardith, escape. And so Evie's with Emotep and Benny. And yeah, we see Winston again, and they enlist him to help get Evie back. They're gonna fly back from Cairo to Hamunaptra, and Emotep tries to stop them with a sandstorm. They crash. They crash, and Benny dies, but it seems like Benny just dies from old age. I don't really
Wait.
think he was injured.
No, you're talking
No.
Winston.
Winston.
Oh my god. Rewind.
Another part here is that she kisses him to stop the storm,
Yes.
which is an
Without
incredible
his
amount of
consent.
which is an incredible amount of faith in your own confidence in your own kiss. One,
Yeah.
Yes.
two, little ableist from Evie that she didn't want to kiss him until he
Until he had lips.
was fully bodied.
Yeah. It's true.
Yeah.
Evie is not without fault, just hot.
She literally caused this whole thing.
She's
I thought we said Jonathan caused this whole thing.
Well, he indirectly caused it all. She directly caused it all. But yes, Winston, I'm sorry. Winston dies, and I do feel like it was just of old age.
yeah.
I
R.I.P.
don't-
Winston.
He
He would have loved dying.
Yeah, he did.
Well,
He did.
He just talks about wanting to die in a blaze of glory. Like, that's his motivation. He's like, all my other friends died in war and they got these fancy fun deaths at the hands of my enemies, but I didn't get to go out that way. That's all I want. And so I guess good for him.
What the fuck is the point of the quicksand? He's dying anyway.
He
And
was
they're
dead already.
They're like, sink that shit.
No
Bury
evidence.
him.
Next, Jonathan, they get back inside. Chaos is ensuing. Jonathan almost dies from a scarab, and then Rick cuts it out and then shoots the scarab with his gun instead of just stomping. He's got those boots on. He could have just stomped it.
But here's my question. Would it have worked? Because Imhotep is completely immortal to any of it. The mummies are like, most of them will die, but not all of them at first shot. So, like, I don't know. I guess he was trying to take the safe bet.
Yeah, he wasn't taking chances, I guess. And that is how it got through the warden's boot.
Yeah.
He's also a shooter.
He loves
He is.
loves it.
Have you seen how he shimmies?
The mummy, my notes say the mummy sends some mummies to get them,
That's right. That's
Big
right.
plot point.
which is true.
The mummies got mummies.
The mummies got mummies. The boys find a lot of new treasure, and then they fight, shoot, try to kill all these mummies, and then Evie wakes up.
Eemy weemy.
Evie wakes up to find herself on a sacrificial table with the remains of a Noxinamun. And all the while, little Benny bitch is sneaking out some treasure from the cave. Is it a cave? I don't know what to call it. A cave.
Cave
Whatever.
works.
Tomb?
The boys'
I don't know.
tomb, large tomb.
A cavernous tomb.
A cavern. Gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. See, you guys have the words tonight. I do not. The boys get the gold book, and Ardith seemingly sacrifices himself and just runs in full speed at all of the mummies.
Crazy. I mean, you kind of figure that's the character archetype he is as we get further into the movie.
Mm-hmm.
But you're really at this point like, damn, guess he's gone. And also the whole sarcophagus / tomb scene took 9 days to film. So Rachel Weisz was just on that table chained up for 9 days.
Oh my god.
Like, what do you mean? What do you mean that took 9 days to film? That's
9
crazy.
days is an eternity.
Also, at this very moment, I suppose, R.I.P. Ardith.
Yeah.
At
R.I.P.
this
Ardith.
moment.
Yes, at this moment. Imhotep, during all of this, has resurrected the mummified remains of Anaxinamun and is preparing to sacrifice Evelyn. He has the knife up in the air. It's about to happen. She screams with the fury of 1,000 suns. I love the way Rachel Weisz screams during this movie. I would not have that same scream. It's just a good scream. Like, she doesn't do the like super high pitched girly. I just love it.
Yeah.
Just a note. Just a side note. I just love her scream.
Yeah, in a screaming contest, she would win.
Yeah, good scream, underrated scream queen scream. Rick and Jonathan interrupt last minute with Jonathan being a little goofball. I feel like I've underplayed Jonathan's role in this recap, but he is so silly the whole time. Rick frees Evelyn from a group of mummies, and then Jonathan accidentally summons more mummies.
And like fully armored ones.
Yeah, like actual soldier mummies this time.
Yeah.
They chase after Rick while Evelyn is attacked by the resurrected Anoxana moon. I guess they're not talking, but this kind of passes the Bechdel test. Like, this isn't really about a guy, their fight.
Yeah.
I mean, it kind of is.
Mm.
It kind of is. Jonathan succeeds in finishing reading this inscription on the gold book, and he commands the guards to kill Anoxana moon. Imhotep turns his anger to Rick, while Jonathan and Evelyn succeed in opening the book of Amun-Ra, the gold book. Imhotep's about to kill Rick when Evelyn recites the counter curse. Also, feel free to stop me at any point. I'm just kind of running through the end of this movie. Imhotep's immortal soul taken from him, ripped from his body, and he becomes mortal. So this is where I'm an Imhotep apologist. I actually do feel bad for Imhotep. It's not his fault he got the curse. Like, I don't think he was evil in his life, and he got this curse because he was in love with the Pharaoh's mistress. She wasn't even the Pharaoh's wife. She was his mistress. And it's kind of sad when you watch his soul get like pulled away from him. Hurt my feelings a little.
I struggled to understand like the vehicle that takes his soul away. I was like, is this just a horse and carriage? Like,
It's
does
'cause
the
he's like
Grim
a high
Reaper?
priest.
I guess.
I don't
But
know.
I don't know. I don't know if I felt that bad for Imhotep because he almost fucking killed the Earth because
But he
because
was
of
more
his
of a
little.
conduit.
Imagine putting a scourge on the Earth for a Pharaoh's side piece. That's crazy.
That is crazy. After this, Rick stabs him, and that's when they realize he's mortal. And he rapidly decays into being a mummy again, and he leaves the world of the living, vowing for revenge. Death is only the beginning. And then Benny,
Ooh.
who was secretly dragging that treasure outside, I mentioned it because it came right on back, sets off a booby trap. Hamunaptra begins to collapse in the sand. Rick, Evelyn, and Jonathan race towards the exit. Jonathan accidentally drops the gold book. Benny remains behind, trapped inside, eaten by scarabs. They escape before Hamunaptra disappears. And then they run into Ardith. He lived, bitch. And he waits for them outside. He thanks them for their help. And they literally ride off into the sunset.
Yeah, but Artist just kind of leaves them there, and Jonathan's like, "Oh, yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for leaving us here."
Yes. Yeah.
I mean,
and that's the end.
Yeah.
yeah. To be fair, Artist's probably still pretty pissed with them.
Yeah,
He
I would
has
be
every
too.
right to still. I mean, at one point, Rick just lights a match on his face.
Yeah. Yeah.
He
And
doesn't
then he
want
lights
to be
one on
their
his
friend.
own face. And then he lights one on his own face. They went back to that well twice. That was a crazy part of the movie. But yeah, I mean, Hardith is very forgiving.
Mhm.
He
For
is. They've
Jonathan
done
to call him
nothing.
out there is insane.
Yeah. Apparently, in the original script, his character was supposed to die, but the director liked working with the actor so much and thought he was so charismatic that they brought him back for the end of the movie. Like,
I love
that's
that.
why he doesn't die.
I love that. The old Steve Harrington from Stranger Things.
Yeah.
But I guess this happened first, so. But
The old Ardith Bay.
the old Ardith Bay trick. I guess a little fun fact I have for the end of this is this was a 1930s movie called The Mummy that like is loosely similar. That this is pretty similar, but there are some big plot points that are different. And this movie was pitched a bunch of times in the 80s to be made, and most of the times it was pitched as like a real horror movie or a low budget horror movie. Some of them were Night of the Living Dead-esque, and none of them were really greenlit until this guy approached it more as a like Raiders of the Lost Ark, more of an action
Epic.
kind of epic. And then it got made like this, which is really it same level as like Indiana Jones and Pirates of the Caribbean. I love a movie that has like scary aspects and is a huge epic, but kids can really watch it and enjoy it too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
I just
agree.
love all those movies. Just aren't afraid to take the big swing. It feels like, which is just like always fun to see, even if it doesn't really. Like in this movie, the sunrise scene when they first see Hamanatra literally looks like a slideshow transition, but
But it still chills.
the whole time they're going for it, and it's just like you have no choice but to appreciate how much they're just like we can't do this, the thing that we want to do, but we're gonna try.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's this. I'm glad they did approach it this way because I think there's something very timeless about that genre of film and that specific niche of, we're going to make something that, it's clearly this period in time. It's clearly action, adventure. But like you said, your kids can watch it. If you want romance is in it. It's just, it hits a lot of bars for a lot of different groups of people. And I like that.
Mm-hmm. And
I-
besides the CGI, like some of it looking pretty dated, I do like it kind of is timeless too, because like you said, they built the miniatures, but then the lighting makes it look fake. It all looks like a set in a good way that it doesn't age as poorly, because even when you're watching it back then, it looks like a Hollywood set, like we were talking about earlier.
I remember this movie being sillier. Like, I mean, it's very silly, but the dialogue isn't that. There aren't a lot of jokes. Like, there's not a lot of stuff that's said in the movie. Like, they do, like, people have silly, like, things that they yell or, like, background stuff, but there's not, like, going through it, it's almost all slapstick in the comedy that
Mhm.
happens. Like, it's
Mhm.
all physical comedy. And I just remembered it being, like, in my head, it is silly, but that's, like, not. It's almost unintentional at times. Like the silliness is like built in by accident.
Yeah, I felt that way with the warden's performance. Like I know he was kind of comic relief, but just his inflection just had me
Mhm.
rolling. I
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, and like Jonathan and Rick and like the actors, they just have really good comedic timing too. So I also feel like they make some things physically funny that might not have been funny otherwise too.
Yeah,
Mhm.
you explaining it as it came from like a horror into what it is kind of makes sense with that stuff, that it was like I don't know, the it's not necessarily written in.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Totally.
I think
I have a
with
question.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, it's not about like the movie as a whole. It's just the brother and sister relationship. I'm very confused by. I think Jonathan's character in general, I'm like don't have feel like I have a good grasp on. And like going through the recap, I feel like you really enjoyed his character, so I'd love to hear both of you. But like, how would you explain Jonathan, and how would you explain his relationship to Evie?
Okay. I would explain him. So their parents were famous explorer, or their dad was a famous explorer. I can't remember what their mom did. I kind of feel like he's successful parents kind of screw up kid, but he also grew up with them teaching him so much about this world that he knows everything because it's like inherent in his brain from how he was raised. And but he is still like a reckless kind of screw up. And
Mhm.
I just kind of feel like they want you to think Evie cleans up his messes, but she's also not together herself either. So I feel like maybe upon reflection, they're both just kind of nepo babies that aren't as successful as they want to be in their parents' field.
Yeah, I was truly just gonna say, Jonathan is like the older finance bro that is in the business school but doesn't really care about any of his classes and just kind of flies by the seat of his pants. And Evelyn is, yes, she's very smart. She's a librarian, but outside of a library, she's got zero street smarts. She
Mhm.
just kind of does what she wants and doesn't understand that there are consequences. And I think together they're just a very mismatched yin and yang.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
What do
just
you
like
think?
throughout this movie, I'm like very every time they interact, I feel like I have a different grasp on what their relationship is throughout the movie. I'm like, I think I have them figured out, and then they like one thing happens, and I'm just like, and
Huh?
I guess they really like each other. And then sometimes I'm like, I guess they don't know each other that well. Like there's times where I'm just like, I don't know how close they are or how happy they are for each other when stuff happens.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel like I don't know. I didn't think about it that much, to be honest.
I kind of didn't either. That's why I feel like I was talking and figuring it out as I was speaking when you asked the question.
Hey, me too.
Yeah.
And in my defense, I don't think I really dissect sibling relationships that much in movies just because it's not the first thing I think of. But
Fair.
Fair.
that is a
Yeah.
good point. I did not think about it before now.
Yeah, they both are like they seem both highly intelligent, but yeah, their behavior is like they have never had consequences before.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Nepo babies that are book smart, not street smart.
Hmm.
That's it. I think we cracked it.
We did it,
Wrap it up.
folks.
We did it. Any extra thoughts of this movie? Any closing thoughts about this movie?
Oh, I do have one that it's kind of an opinion, but I think it's a really good point that I know we watched this. I mean, I watched it on streaming and I think I've only ever seen it in high definition, but this feels like a movie that almost its quality and its overall image is uh, diminished by the HD treatment. Like, I feel like if I had watched it on the VHS you had when you were younger, it
Mm-hmm.
would have been a completely different experience. Like, I think I wasn't supposed to see everything as crisply as we see it now.
Yeah, it like lends itself. Oh my god, can't you just feel the feeling of putting a VHS in the TV
Yeah.
thinking about this movie? Or that's probably me that because I actually did that so many times. But it does. It seems like it lends itself to that and like sitting way too close to your TV in your house watching it.
Touching the screen and feeling the static as it's
Yes.
playing. Yeah. Yeah.
It deserves that treatment. If you can watch it with a VHS, do so. Or on like a big movie theater too.
Yeah. Yeah. But again, I think this was meant to be viewed in SD. I don't know.
I kind of agree. I think
Yeah.
it holds up. I actually can't tell if it holds up because it's so nostalgic for me. Nick,
Mhm.
your pretty much first watch. How much of it did it feel like you watched it too late versus holding up?
It holds up in a weird way of it has its time and place. It doesn't hold up of like if you're showing this movie to somebody and you're like, this is a new great movie, they'd be like, what? But if you were like,
Yeah.
this is a fun late 90s movie or like a fun older movie, you can get on board with it at any time. So
Mhm.
it's definitely doesn't hold up in a way of like, wow, this could still be made today and the script is so
It's not
impressive and everything.
Shawshank Redemption.
Yeah, it's not like it's not gonna like stand the test of time in that way, but it's so it definitely has a place, and I think it holds up in that way where it's like it's always gonna be enjoyable.
Mhm. Yeah, I agree. I think some of the technical and by technical I mean strictly some of the CG, which I know was cutting edge for the time. I think that is the only thing that ages this movie and that sets it
Mhm.
into the year it was made.
Mhm.
But everything else I feel like is pretty much universally enjoyed by any person at any age from the time it was made to now.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd be so on board if they remastered this movie and put it in theaters. That would be very fun.
I'm surprised they haven't, especially
I
with
know.
the recent-ish remake that went out.
Yeah, maybe that was so garbage they think it tarnished the legacy of the original. The second one's actually good. Maybe one day I'll cover the second one.
You know what I've been thinking about since I watched the movie today is when I'm gonna have time to watch the second one, because I just need a little bit more.
Me too. And I think I've only seen the second one like maybe twice.
Mhm.
But I
Yeah.
know they have I guess a light spoiler. They have a boy in it. It's like years later and they have a son and he's a
Yeah.
little blonde, like what, 8-year-old maybe?
I
Oh
don't
wow,
know.
it's years later.
Yeah, many years later, and it, from what I remember, the second one is great too.
Mhm. I mean,
I
And-
haven't seen it.
the CG of The Rock as the Scorpion King, though, is it was enough to make me not want to watch it for a while.
Yeah, that's so true. And then they made another one before the Tom Cruise one that they straight up recast Evie because Rachel Weisz didn't come back. So
And it was in
everybody
Shanghai.
is the same, and it's in Shanghai, and she's just Evie. Like they don't pretend Evie dies and Rick remarries. They
Yeah.
fully recast the role.
That's great.
And that one, from what I remember, was bad.
That they'll do, but they won't cast a single Egyptian in this movie.
The Ardith Bey is Israeli, which is, not right, but he's not white, but he's not American.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
looking at it, and what's her name again? You said it a million times.
Rachel Weisz.
Oh no, Anoxer
Anoxinamun.
Yeah.
Anoxinamun.
She's like Venezuelan.
Oh.
Also not Egyptian.
No, and then Emotep is South African.
She heard you. She heard you talking shit.
Oh, there he goes. Yeah, I think it definitely made sense for the home team and the Americans to be white, but the main cast Egyptians, I don't know.
No, yeah, I don't know. Benny's accent was quite a choice throughout this film.
Yeah.
They say he's Hungarian in this? Is that what they said?
The only way I was able to tell was because he would speak in Hungarian at certain points. And it just said in
Oh.
Hungarian in the subtitles.
There was one scene where they mention it like close to the boat scene at some point, but I was really, speaking of the subtitles, I was really enjoying watching this on Tubi with commercials because
Yeah, I
I was
did the
watching
same
it.
thing.
Oh, we all did the same.
It
The
felt like I was
commercials are
watching it on
long.
cable,
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
it
Gave
like
you the
felt like
same
I was
effect.
just like sitting there and it was on like, I don't know, TBS or TNT or something, and they were just
Except the
rerunning
cuts
it.
were terrible to commercials.
They didn't care. They were
No.
time stamped. They were not based on the movie.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. I
No.
will say the timestamps on Tubi, not the timestamps, the ads on Tubi, doing much better than some of the other streaming services out there. They were like 30, 45 seconds, if that.
Yeah, but they were so long. There were so many of them per commercial break. It was
Well,
like
I
a
didn't
real.
I didn't have that many.
Oh, maybe I didn't watch it on my computer. Though. I watched it on my
Oh, maybe
don't
that's different.
I don't know.
It blows my mind. You watch these movies on your laptop, Kristen.
Why?
I can't watch movies on my laptop.
Really? I find it hard sometimes to watch on my TV because I want the screen closer so that I can see all the details, and my far-sighted eyeballs can't do it with my TV.
You're just standing in front of it like a little kid.
Or
Yeah.
like a dad with
Yeah.
my arms behind my back.
And so,
Yeah.
we all did different dad poses.
My dad goes like this.
We all
Oh
just did
my
our
God.
personal dad's poses.
Yeah,
In front of
yeah.
the TV.
Hands behind the back was always mine.
Mine's hips.
Mm. Emma, we haven't done something yet that we should be
I
talking about.
know.
It's a big
Guys.
one for this.
Who's hottest?
Emma, I feel like you have to go first.
I honestly think there are like 6 options for this movie.
Yeah.
Who you could be, but there are only 2 real options. And I
Okay.
think that it has to be a tie. I think this is my first tie, and it's Evie and Rick.
Okay.
But am I forced to pick one?
Sure.
Yeah.
I was gonna give them a real tie. Rick.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's so much. I kind of mentioned it at the beginning, but there's so much like around Brendan Fraser in this movie, and it's like so much of him being like a leading man and a hot guy that I feel like this movie is like through the lens of how hot is Brendan Fraser here.
And his bravery.
His bravery, his courage.
His courage.
Now, I'm going to throw not a wild card in there for you guys, but if I went off my own personal feeling here, I do have a second option that is not Brendan Fraser, and that is, of course, Ardith Bay, because I think that man is gorgeous. And that might just be me, but he was really doing it for me in this movie. I don't know if I've ever seen anything he's also been in, but
no, I did look him up, still hot. Old man now, not old, but older, gray hair, still hot.
Great head of hair.
He aged better than Brendan Fraser, unfortunately. For Brendan Fraser.
Well, Brendan Fraser went through a lot. So.
Yes, he did. He did. I'm sorry, Brendan Fraser. Your Renaissance last year was really important to me, and
we love you so much.
I love you. That was not a dig at you. That was a compliment to Ardith Bay in real life. Because Brendan Fraser is an avid listener to this podcast, so I had to let him know.
What if he just randomly finds it and he just randomly listens to it?
Well, this should boost his confidence to the high heavens because we love him.
It should boost his confidence.
Emotep was up there for me. I think Emotep's hot in his forward generation.
The first time I saw this movie, I thought Emotep and Ardith Bay were the same person. And that seems very problematic for me to think. But my college younger mind could not.
You thought it was the same actor playing two different parts.
I did. And I think that's why I would get confused of like who Ardith Bay was, because I was like, oh, if he's a descendant of Emotep, that makes sense. But he's not.
But he's just two different dudes.
I just sound like a dumb, racist woman. And I'm not trying to. I just thought their eyebrows were similar.
And shout outs to Anoxina Moon, hot. Shout out to Jamie Lannister, American Cowboy, hot. Shout out.
I think shout out Burns, but Burns
doesn't
me.
Do it for me. I think
no, the guy with the receding hairline does not do it for me.
No. And who am I missing in hot? Sorry, Jonathan, didn't make the cut.
Egyptologist, hot.
Get out of here.
No. I said what I said.
There's no food in this movie, but I am going to try to order some chocolate covered crickets because lots of bugs in this movie. So follow us at broccoli.horror on Instagram and TikTok soon.
Yeah.
To see me try crickets. Maybe I'll mail them to Kristen and Nick too.
Well, I could probably pick them up from you or get them. I don't know.
That's true. We don't live that far.
We're Nick, a little closer than Nick in distance.
Nick, check your mail.
They're here already.
All right. Anything else, friends?
No, I love a good mummy rewatch.
Yeah, time to close this mummy recap out. Nick, you gonna do the honors?
All right, you ready?
Oh no. Oh. He's up.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Nick, I haven't seen.
Wait here. I'll get help.
That was beautiful.
Stunning. Nick, I haven't seen past your shoulders in so long. You have a body. Okay,
what if I looked completely different?
Yeah. Wild.
All right, friends.
All right.
See you next week.
Bye.
Bye.